From the BBC World Service, in association with ABC and All India Radio, this is Stumped.
Hello and welcome to Stumped, your intercontinental hit of news, features and debate from the quirky world of cricket. I'm Alison Mitchell in London, where I can tell you my body is aching because I played my first game of cricket in some 4 years yesterday. Although I don't really know why it's aching because I only bowled one over and then batted for about 4 balls. But it was a really, really special day with an aid of the Duke of Edinburgh's award. And we played a game at Frogmore in the shadow of Windsor Castle. So it was against the Royal Household Cricket Club. Prince Edward popped down to say hello. Devon Malcolm played, Monty Panesar played. Really, really special day. But yes, my back is a little bit sore. I think I need clearly some more practice.
You got to practice that pull shot and the hook shot, I think, when they start out. Ali?
Didn't even get a go. I've just got a big bruise on my thigh.
Well, I mean, that's a prize you take from the game. You should look at it that way. A trophy. But it's Jim Maxwell here in Sydney. And not too much going on here, but we've been watching what's been happening in Sri Lanka, where Australia have had some good and bad moments, I suppose. And we're looking forward to things eventually rolling as we head towards the season now that the schedule of Big Bash has been announced. And we know we're going to have the West Indies and South Africa here for some test matches.
Well, I'm Charu Sharma from Bangalore once again. I just reached home after a wonderful trek in Kashmir where it was raining off and on, but it's probably raining more in Bangalore back at home. At any rate, unfortunately, the trek was disturbed a bit because our average age was 65. So as you can imagine, we were ripe for an incident or two. My older brother was on the trek with me. He unfortunately fell on some rocks near the river, dislocated his elbow, so he had to be evacuated. And who else would choose to do that but his younger brother? So I came back from the trek a little earlier. He's in a cast now. He's okay. He's going to be all right. But of course, I returned to a whole lot of cricket in England. The Indian team is there, where England seems to be playing white ball cricket in red ball matches, but in white ball matches seem to have lost the plot, and India are doing pretty well.
It was extraordinary at the Oval, wasn't it? England don't have much of a turnaround time, this short 3-match series, but goodness me, India just absolutely marmalised England, and they rather gave it away, didn't they, with the bat. But brilliant bowling from Bumrah. But I tell you what, it's going to be in Sri Lanka where we start this week's show, because a few weeks ago here on Stumped, we heard about the political and economic crisis within the country ahead of Australia's tour. And amid the unrest that continues, well, the men's cricket side provided some momentary joy for its people with one of the greatest test victories for them this week. Yes, Sri Lanka had lost the first test of the Warne-Muralitharan Trophy. That's the name of the series between Sri Lanka and Australia in tests. But they bounced back with a stunning win against the Aussies to draw the series. There was a double 100 from Dinesh Chandimal that carried them into a huge lead. Prabath Jayasuriya then completed the best figures by a Sri Lankan on-test debut on the bowling front. He bagged a 12-wicket haul, and Sri Lanka won by an innings and 39 runs with time to spare on just the 4th evening. Charu, I mean, goodness, that was a little bit of magic from Sri Lanka during a crisis, wasn't it? A phenomenal performance.
It seems almost ridiculous what the country is going through, sadly, just outside the stadium. And here are people playing inside the stadium who have to somehow keep themselves oblivious of everything that's going on outside. So it's mentally, psychologically a very tough ask for Sri Lanka to have done what they did, considering what's happening to the country. And yes, I mean, it's magnificent because Australia are the toughest competitors anywhere, anytime around the world. And for Sri Lanka to bounce back despite everything that was going on, I think they're extraordinary. I mean, you have to 3x their effort because you cannot, as a Sri Lankan, keep your mind away from what the country is going through. And yet they managed to do that. To score a double 100, can you imagine the kind of concentration required?
Yeah, Jim, I mean, on the other side, Australia capitulated, didn't they? They might have won that first test inside 3 days, but all out for 151 in their second innings. What went so wrong for them?
Well, they probably mucked the game up on the second day when they resumed at 5 for 298 and got shot out for 364. Went over 400 with Smith going the way he was and no more support in the tail. He was there on 145 at the end. And then a combination of factors. Perhaps he shouldn't make excuses. I mean, Australia's been there for 5 weeks, but it wasn't their best performance in the field. They missed a couple of half chances and some real chances, a couple of stumpings that Carey missed out on. They didn't manage DRS very well. which is a line you could put on the grave of every captain who's ever decided with DRS involved. But they didn't manage the DRS very well, yes. And Australia got themselves into a position where all of a sudden there were no reviews left. And what happened? Chandabal nicked one when he was about, and there was nothing they could do. So that conspired against them a bit, but it was a pretty tired performance. And you'd have to say on the look of their second innings that Australia got themselves into a rhythm that they couldn't stop against the turning ball, and they didn't handle it very well. They were trying to be industrious with shovel shot sweeps, and that didn't help their cause. So it was a combination of factors, but can't take it away from Sri Lanka, given all that's going around them, all the hardship in that lovely little island. They've come up with an extraordinary win.
Charu, let's just talk about Prabath Jayasuriya, because, I mean, it's a remarkable story for him, isn't it? He wasn't even in the squad at the start of the series, and yet, he turned out to be the star of the show.
Talk about grabbing opportunities with both hands in both the innings. Yeah, you're right. I mean, Praveen Jayavikrama and Jeffrey Van der Say were both ruled out, and in comes in Prabath with a very famous surname in Sri Lanka, Jayasuriya. And, well, spinners have always done very well in Sri Lanka. That's the way they prepare their pitches. That's their legacy, their tradition as well. And it did extremely well to pick up 12 for in your first test. And remarkable, of course. I must quickly mention my old friend Narendra Hirwani's name, who still leads at 16 wickets for whatever it was, just ahead of Bob Massey. But it also puts a little bit of pressure on him to perform hereafter outside of Sri Lanka. We'll see how that goes. But I think it's the quality of the batsman that he took with the ball, which is important. I mean, you talk about Labuschagne, Steve Smith, Khwaja, batsmen in great form. And if you can bamboozle them, get their wickets all together, it just shows the quality that you have. He maintained great line and length, didn't do anything particularly special. And maybe Jim's already mentioned that there was a little bit of frustration in the Australian batting, which probably led to a few more wickets given away rather than taken by the bowlers. But let's take nothing away from a fabulous debut, and he'll remember it forever. I hope he's got the ball safely tucked away in some safe.
Well, next on Stumped, the Federation of International Cricketers Association, or FICA as it is known, plays a very important role in cricket around the world. Since it was created back in 1998, it served as the voice of the players internationally. It protects their rights and interests during a time when they're being asked to play more cricket than ever before. It now has a new president, and a first female president at that, former Australia captain Lisa Sthalekar. And Lisa is with us on Stumped. Welcome, Lisa, and congratulations on the role. Tell us first of all then how it was that this role came about for you.
Well, I've been involved in the Players Associations for a while. Obviously, the Australian Cricketers Association in Australia. I sat on the board there for a number of years. And then there was an opportunity for a female to be part of FICA as well. So I sat on their board as an independent for about 4 to 5 years, and actually was in Dubai when the chairman and the CEO kind of pulled me aside and said, look, we think we need a new president and we'd love it to be you. And I said, surely there's someone better. But after a bit of convincing and talking through, the guys explained that, this was the way forward. Women's cricket is part of the game now. And probably my role as president just shows how the game has evolved and changed, that women can be part of the game at the highest level, even in administration, and play an important role to the development of the game.
Hi, Lisa. Yes, Jim Maxwell here in Sydney. Tell us a bit about FICA and how it actually helps the players.
It's an organisation that formed out of, the Players Association heavily through Australia, and Tim May was the first CEO. And what it does is it's the international body of all of the players' associations that exist within cricket.
What's on the agenda from here?
Where do you start? I think firstly, conversations with ICC and speaking to a number of CEOs of the national boards to try and see if we can get the future tours program sorted out and how that's going to work. We've seen in Australia, Jim, South Africa have pulled out for a T20 league. So That's potentially going to be something that we see more often. Where does bilateral cricket fit in? That's probably the most important issue at the moment. But then there are other issues with you've got the NFTs coming out, and how does it's above my pay grade in understanding the NFTs, but it's something that is certainly big within the sport.
We'll point you towards an episode on Stumped, Lise, that explains that.
Okay, thanks, Ali. But yeah, so there's that aspect, and then when you look at women's cricket and where it's going, the evolution of that, really exciting times for the women's games. We're starting to see more test matches being played. Where does that fit in the strategic vision of growing the game? Obviously, the Commonwealth Games is starting. There's a bid to get cricket into the Olympics, so there's a lot going on.
Yes, there is. Hi, Lisa. You mentioned women's cricket evolving. There are, of course, many other aspects, but let's stick to the equal pay issue. We were talking to Heath Bills of New Zealand last week on Stumped about this. And how much more work do you think needs to be done to actually reach there? Because as currently, of course, there's a huge gulf.
Yeah, there is, and credit to New Zealand Cricket Association and the Players Association in coming up with that deal. I think that's a huge step forward for New Zealand cricketers, especially the female players. When I look at the game and I look at what international players are able to achieve now, they're starting to get a full calendar. There are a lot of tours that are happening. Plenty of opportunities, financial reward as well coming that way. But the real issues for the women's game moving forward is that tier under that domestic cricket. Now, that's where FICA can potentially help with the players' associations in those countries to try and ensure that we're looking after that next generation.
Lisa, thank you so much for chatting with us today. It's great to hear your take and where you want to take the game forward. Congratulations on the role and good luck going forwards.
Thanks, guys.
Now, finally on Stumped this week, the Men's T20 World Cup starts in less than 3 months, a competition where the world's top cricketers will be aiming to knock the ball right out of the ground. But did you know that another Cricket World Cup also begins in October in Australia? One in which it's pretty impossible to hit the ball out of the ground. That's because this is the Indoor World Cup. The men's edition was established back in 1995, the women's tournament in 1998, and every single event, Jim, has been won by Australia. And so they'll be looking to defend their titles on home soil in just a couple of months' time. But how much does everyone know about the way indoor cricket works? Well, one of the stars of the Australia men's team is here to tell us. Clive Rose, welcome to Stumped. Give us your brief background story, but in particular how you got into indoor cricket.
I grew up playing outdoor cricket with my old man, and then in the winter time, obviously it's a bit cold and wet in Australia, particularly in Melbourne where I grew up, and I didn't play footy or any other sports. I loved cricket, so Dad played a bit of indoor cricket in the winter. It's four nets basically. You're inside a net, and you got a yellow ball and a light yellow ball, and you just have a bat and some gloves. Everyone gets the ball, everyone gets the bat. So it was a great way to stay in touch with my skills in the winter before outdoor cricket. Because
you played that indoor cricket, you obviously played outdoor cricket to a good level because you played Big Bash cricket as well. But in terms of the indoor game, then give us a brief sort of resume of the rules. Apart from that obvious difference in venue, and you just said a yellow ball and the nets, but paint a picture as to how it actually works.
Everyone's got to bowl 2 overs, so you got 8 players per team. Everyone bowls 2 overs, and each pair bats for 4 overs. You don't really, you get out, but if you get out, you lose 5 runs instead of stopping your 10 and not being able to bat again. You can actually continue bat. You just continue to bat for the 4 overs, and you just lose 5 runs. If you're unlucky and you keep getting out, your score goes to negative. And then I think the side nets, you get if you hit the side net and then you run one, you get 1 run. The one run you run plus whatever the net is valued. So in the front court, the side net's worth 1 extra run. In the back court, it's worth 2 extra runs, and the right back net is basically 4 runs plus whatever you run, or 6 runs plus whatever you run.
Clive, are the dismissals all the same in indoor cricket as to outdoor cricket?
Yeah, basically it's all. A lot of them are runouts because in close pace you have to rotate. You have to change. The scoreboard has to change within 3 balls, and if it doesn't, then the 3rd ball you have to run.
Right.
And the only different rule that's in indoor cricket than not in outdoor is the hesitation rule, which is basically on the 3rd ball. If the non-striker stops running, then it's basically you're automatically out. The non-striker has to run to the striker's end. But other than that, all the other rules are the same. Catches. There's a few more man-cads in indoor cricket because, you get the non-strikers cheating and then trying to get down the other end a little bit quicker than they should be.
Yeah.
But basically all the same.
So you don't get the runs if you hit the ball into the net on the full, but then it's caught. You don't get the runs at all. You're just out.
You don't get anything. You just lose 5 runs.
Wow. That's a tough gig. That's a tough gig.
Well, Clive, hi, this is Charu Sharma from Bangalore. Just like you played the Big Bash, I'm sure most players who play indoor cricket are also very good outdoor cricketers. So is there a difficulty in transition because of all the rules and the different mindset perhaps that's required?
I wouldn't say too big of a transition. I think indoor cricket can help outdoor cricket because of the yellow ball, it swings a lot more than an outdoor ball. It's a little bit like the Duke when it does swing. So batters have to learn how to play the swinging ball, we call them down-ups when you hit the ball into the ground and try to bounce it over the fielder. So that actually teaches players how to play the ball really late and watch the ball all the way onto the bat. Bowlers have to learn how to bowl with the swinging ball. It's good for T20 cricket for bowlers, bowling your change-ups, bowling some off-speed deliveries, bowling Yorkers, bowling different lines and lengths like you do in T20 cricket. And the fielding is what's, some of the best fielders in the world. Indoor cricket is great, just great to watch. It's what sort of drew me into the sport, to be fair. Being able to bounce off the net and catch the ball and turn and throw and hit the stumps. Because you are in an enclosed space, the ball is always basically going to come to you. You're going to be in the game. So I think there's some really good aspects of indoor cricket that can be transferred into outdoor cricket. And generally I've seen, if you're a good outdoor cricketer and you've got the basics of outdoor cricket, you can come into indoor cricket and pick the game up really early and really quickly.
That is Clive Rose, former domestic and Big Bash cricketer, now indoor cricketer for Australia. Well, that's all we've got time for on this week's Stumped. So my thanks to Jim Maxwell and Charu Sharma, and of course to you for listening. Make sure you join us again on next week's show. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
From the BBC World Service, in association with ABC and All India Radio, this is Stumped.